South Korea just secured 24 million barrels of oil from the UAE. Got a public guarantee that Korea comes first. Before China, before Japan, before anyone in 18 days. Same crisis, same choke point, same 20% of the world's oil vanishing overnight. Completely different outcomes. A missile nobody expected, a diplomatic sprint nobody matched, and a tanker crew that ran the blockade while every other ship froze. I'm breaking this down as a Korean insider. Before the first bomb dropped, let's look at how exposed East Asia already was. One corridor 21 miles wide, the Strait of Hormuz, 84% of all oil and LNG passing through it headed to Asia. Korea, 70% of its crude from the Middle East, 95% of that transits this strait. Energy trade deficit, 4.3% of GDP, highest of any major nation. Japan, 90% Middle East dependency, 95.9% of crude imports from the region. Taiwan imports 97% of all energy. TSMC, 70% of the world's advanced chips. One power outage from shutdown. 3 of the 4 largest chip-producing economies on Earth, all plugged into the same 21-mile choke point. Carnegie Endowment put it bluntly. This vulnerability wasn't new, but nobody had stress-tested it with a real war until now. February 28th, Saturday night. US and Israeli jets hit Iran under Operation Epic Fury. Supreme leader killed. Iran fires back at UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. By Sunday morning, the IRGC declares Hormuz closed. Oil passed $100. Over 20,000 travelers stranded in the Gulf. The first 72 hours tell you everything. Here's what most people missed. While the IRGC was broadcasting on VHF radio, we will burn every ship that tries to pass. A supertanker was already inside the strait, carrying Korea's oil. The Eagle Valor, 336 meters, 300,000 tons, loaded with 2 million barrels of crude. Every other tanker stopped. Dozens dropped anchor. Captains radioed for instructions. The crew, carrying Korea's oil, made a different call. The deep water channels through Hormuz run along the Iranian side. Shallow bottom. At high speed, the hull risks scraping the seabed. The crew pushed to maximum speed anyway. They cleared the strait before the lockdown sealed it. Last tanker out. Korea's tanker. 750 ships ended up stuck. 26 Korean-flagged vessels trapped inside. 144 Korean crew members waiting. One ship made it through, the one carrying Korea's crude. So the strait is sealed. Oil is frozen. And 3 of Asia's biggest economies are staring at the same crisis. What separates them is what they did in the first week. Korea, full sprint. Monday number East. Emergency cabinet meetings. Tuesday, President Lee deploys a 100 trillion won stabilization fund. Wednesday, Kopidin Jatait, Chief of Staff Kang Hoon-sik, is on a plane to Abu Dhabi, straight to where the oil is. Simultaneously, evacuation of 3,000 Korean nationals stranded in the UAE. By March 9th, over 1,500 out. Families hugging at Incheon at 2 a.m., securing oil and evacuating citizens. Same week, same envoy. Japan, stealth and caution. Japan's 3 biggest shipping companies all suspended Hormuz transit immediately. Japan holds the world's second largest strategic oil reserve, 254 days. Per worth didn't release a single barrel until day 18. China, the back channel. Between March 1st and 15th, 11 China-linked vessels transited the strait while everyone else sat. CSY 300 dropped less than 1%. Korea's Kospi crashed 12% in a single day. Beijing's official response. One sentence. Ensuring stable energy supplies is the shared responsibility of all parties. Trump demanded allies send warships. Nobody wanted to join America's war to get their oil back. Inside Korea, the mood wasn't panic. It was cold, focused intensity. When the Cheonggung missile deal surfaced, the tone shifted. Anxiety to grim pride. Missiles bought us oil. In 2022, the UAE bought 10 batteries of Korea's Cheonggung-2 missile defense system, $3.5 billion. When Iran started hitting the UAE with missiles and drones in early March, 2 Cheonggung-2 batteries were already deployed, 96% interception rate in actual combat. Over 60 interceptors fired from those 2 batteries during Iran's massive aerial attacks. Overnight, every country in the Gulf wanted it. March 9th, a UAE Air Force C-17 lands at Daegu Air Base. Korean crews load more than 30 Cheonggung-2 interceptors, emergency airlift to a country under active attack. America's Patriot was already stretched thin. China had no defense relationship in the Gulf. Korea's own missile system was keeping Abu Dhabi's skies safe. That's leverage you can't buy. Korea locks in 6 million barrels, loaded at alternative ports on the Arabian seaside, completely bypassing Hormuz. 2 days before the war started, Korea and the UAE had already signed $65 billion in joint projects. The infrastructure was built. When the crisis hit, Korea just flipped the switch. March 16th, Kang flies to Abu Dhabi again, meets MBZ personally, meets the CEO of ADNOC. No country will receive crude oil ahead of South Korea. Total by March 18th, 24 million barrels. Reserve buffer pushed to 217 days. Korea shields UAE skies. UAE secures Korea's oil. Fuel price cap, first in 30 years. Vehicle rationing, 5-day system. First time since 1991. The US pulled anti-aircraft assets from Korean bases. Korea sent Cheonggung interceptors from its own pipeline. Domestic air defense took a hit. Korea played brilliantly, but the hand wasn't free. Japan released reserves on day 18. Started talks about joint stockpiling, a plan that should have existed a decade ago. China relied on size, but every Gulf state that got bombed is watching China keep cozy with Tehran. Same crisis, 3 instincts. China negotiated a side door with the country that fired the missiles. Japan turned off its transponders and tiptoed through in 46 hours. A tanker carrying Korea's oil ran the blockade at full speed. And Korea's president sent missiles to Abu Dhabi before the first barrel was loaded. The country everyone expected to break first came out with 24 million barrels and a guarantee that it comes first in line. The country with the biggest cushion moved last. Speed beat size, relationships beat reserves. And a missile built to protect Korean skies ended up protecting the Korean economy 6,000 kilometers away. If you want unfiltered breakdowns on how Korea operates on the world stage, subscribe, drop a like. Tell me in the comments, did Korea outsmart everyone, or is this whole setup more fragile than it looks?